Jake Morrison stood at the big window of the space station. He watched the stars like he did every morning. The view never got old. Earth was far below, blue and beautiful. The year was 2387, and life was good for humans. Jake worked as a commander on the defense platform above New Dallas Colony. It was a quiet job most days. Pirates sometimes caused trouble, but nothing serious. Humans had been living in peace for almost 200 years. That morning started like any other. Jake drank his coffee and checked the daily reports. Everything looked normal. The cargo ships moved between planets. Families lived happy lives on dozens of worlds. The Terran Federation ran things fairly, and people had freedom. Then the alarm started screaming. "Commander Morrison, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Amy Chun. She ran to the control room, her face white with fear. Jake followed her. The main screen showed something impossible. Huge ships were appearing out of nowhere. They just popped into space like magic. But these were not human ships. The alien vessels were massive. Each one was bigger than 3 human battleships put together. They had sharp edges and dark metal. They looked like giant knives floating in space. Jake had never seen anything so scary. "How many?" Jake asked. 15 ships above our colony," Amy said. "And Commander, we're getting reports from everywhere. Every human world has these ships above them." Jake felt cold. In just a few minutes, everything had changed. Humans were no longer alone in the universe. And these visitors did not look friendly. The alien ships stayed silent for 3 hours. They just floated there, waiting. Then every communication device in human space came alive at once. Admiral Lisa Campbell was in her office on Earth when the message came through. She was the head of all human space forces. The message played on every screen, every radio, every phone in human territory. The voice was cold and mechanical. It spoke perfect English, but the words sounded wrong. Like a computer trying to be human. "People of Earth and the human colonies, we are the Kethran Empire. We have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. We have conquered 47 species. You are now the 48th. Lisa felt her heart stop. The message continued. "You have 7 days to surrender. You will give up all weapons. You will give up all ships. You will work for us. You will obey us. If you do this, some of you will live. If you do not, all of you will die." The message ended. The alien ships remained silent again. Lisa called an emergency meeting. Leaders from every human world gathered by video link. The room was full of scared faces and worried voices. "What do we know about them?" asked President David Stone from the Mars colony. "Nothing good," said Dr. Helen Garcia, the chief scientist. "Our scans show their technology is far ahead of ours. Their ships use power sources we don't understand. Their weapons could destroy our planets." "What about their numbers?" asked General Robert Kim. "We count over 3,000 ships," Lisa said. "We have maybe 200 warships total. They outnumber us 15 to 1. The room went quiet. Everyone knew what those numbers meant. "So what do we do?" asked Governor Sarah Johnson from the Luna City colony. "We have 3 choices," Lisa said. "We surrender and become slaves. We fight and probably die. Or we run and abandon our homes." "Running is not an option," said President Stone. "These are. Our worlds, our families live here. And slavery is not living," added Governor Johnson. "I've read the history books. My ancestors fought against slavery on Earth. I won't be the one to bring it back." Captain Ben Rodriguez spoke up from the video link. He was on his ship near the Jupiter mining stations. "Admiral, what does the military think?" Lisa looked around. The room. These were good people. They had built something beautiful in space. They had created a society based on freedom and hope. Now aliens wanted to take it all away. The military thinks we should fight, Lisa said, not because we can win, but because some things are worth dying for. The vote was quick. Every single leader voted the same way. Earth, Mars, Luna, New Dallas, Haven, and all the other colonies. The answer was the same everywhere. Captain Rodriguez smiled on the screen. Admiral, I think I speak for all of us when I say this. We've heard their terms. Here's our answer. Go to hell. The message was sent to every Catherine ship in human space. The aliens had expected fear and surrender. Instead, they got defiance. On the alien flagship, High Commander Zarthik received the human response. He had conquered dozens of species over his long career. They all surrendered quickly once they saw the power of the Empire. These humans are fools, he told his officers. They think bravery can stop plasma cannons. They think courage can destroy battle fleets. We will show them how wrong they are. Zarthik had never lost a battle. He had never met a species that chose death over slavery. He thought humans were just another weak race that would break easily. He was about to learn how wrong he was. On the defense platform, Jake Morrison watched the alien ships. They were beautiful in a terrible way. Death and destruction wrapped in metal and power. What happens now? Asked Amy. Now we fight, Jake said. We probably lose, but we fight anyway. Amy nodded. My grandmother used to tell me stories about the old wars on Earth. She said freedom always costs blood. Yeah, Jake said. But it's worth the price. The 7 days passed slowly. Humans used every moment to prepare. They built weapons. They trained soldiers. They said goodbye to loved ones. They got ready for war. On the 7th day, the alien ships moved. The Catherine Empire had come to collect their new slaves. They found something else instead. They found humans who refused to kneel. They found a species that would rather die fighting than live in chains. The war was about to begin. The first attack came at dawn on Earth. High Commander Zarthik expected the humans to break quickly. He had seen it happen 47 times before. Show overwhelming force, destroy a few cities, and the enemy would surrender within hours. The Catherine warships opened fire on major human bases. Plasma beams cut through the sky like lightning. Explosions lit up the darkness. The aliens targeted military stations, spaceports, and government buildings. But something was wrong. The humans did not panic. They did not run. Instead, they shot. Back, Colonel Amy Turner commanded the defense of Titan Research Station. It was humanity's most important science base. The aliens wanted to capture it intact to steal human technology. Incoming missiles, shouted Lieutenant Danny Foster from the control room. 20 plasma torpedoes, closing fast. Amy watched the alien weapons approach. They were beautiful and deadly. But her people were ready. Fire defense grid, she ordered. Human. LASER cannons opened fire. Most of the alien missiles got through, but some did not. The ones that hit the station caused damage, but not as much as the aliens expected. Their shields are weaker than we thought, reported Dr. Kevin Walsh. He was the station's chief scientist. And look at this. They're flying in perfect formation. No changes, no surprises. They fight like robots. Amy smiled. Robots can be beaten. Send word to all ships. The aliens fight like they're reading from a book. We need to throw away the book. The message spread quickly through human space. The Catherine Empire had superior technology, but their tactics were old and predictable. They had grown lazy after centuries of easy victories. Captain Steve Morgan led a small group of mining ships near the asteroid belt. His vessels were not warships. They were built to dig rocks and haul cargo. But Steve had an idea. The aliens. think we're helpless, he told his crew. Let's show them they're wrong. Steve's ships hid among the asteroids and waited. When a Kethron patrol came looking for them, they attacked from all sides. The mining ships used their drilling lasers as weapons. The cargo haulers rammed the alien vessels. The Kethran patrol expected an easy fight. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by humans who fought with desperate courage. 3 alien ships were destroyed. The rest fled in confusion. Dr. Helen Garcia worked day and night in her laboratory on Mars. She studied pieces of destroyed Kethran ships. What she found gave humanity hope. Their technology is advanced, but it's not magic, she told Admiral Lisa Campbell. Their shields work on a specific frequency. If we can match that frequency, we can punch through their defenses. What do we need? Lisa asked. Time and luck, Helen said. Give me both, and I'll give you weapons that can hurt them. The aliens tried to land troops on Earth. They expected to find a broken world ready to surrender. Instead, they found a fortress. Every human city had become a military base. Citizens carried weapons and knew how to use them. Children built bombs in their schools. Grandparents set up sniper positions in their gardens. The Kethran soldiers were used to fighting organized armies. They understood military tactics and traditional warfare, but they had never faced an entire population that refused to give up. Captain Rachel Bennett led the first successful space battle against the aliens. Her ship was old and slow, but her crew was smart and angry. They used an abandoned factory ship as a weapon. The factory was filled with industrial equipment and raw materials. Rachel's crew turned it into a giant bomb. When the Kethran cruiser came close, they rammed it with the factory ship. The explosion was massive. The alien cruiser was destroyed completely. Every human in the system saw it happen. The message was clear. The aliens could be beaten. News of the victory spread across human space. Morale jumped from despair to hope. If one old ship could destroy a Kethran cruiser, what could a real fleet do? But the aliens were learning too. High Commander Zarthik was angry and confused. This was not how conquests were supposed to work. The humans should have surrendered by now. They fight like wild animals, he told his officers. No discipline, no proper formations. They use cargo ships as weapons. They hide in space junk. They have no honor. Perhaps we should use more force, suggested war leader Kekstar. Yes, Zarthik said. Double the bombardment. Triple it. Break their spirit with fear. The alien attacks became more brutal. They targeted hospitals and schools. They bombed farms and water treatment plants. They tried to make life so terrible that humans would beg for mercy. It had the opposite effect. Every dead child made the humans fight harder. Every destroyed city created more soldiers. The aliens were feeding the fire they wanted to put out. Lieutenant Commander Paul Adams was a military strategist. He studied the alien attack patterns and found weaknesses. They're predictable, he told his staff. They always attack the same way. Big ships in the center, small ships on the flanks. They never change formation during battle. How do we use that? Asked Major Linda Clark. We make them think we're doing one thing, then do something else, Paul said. We make them chase shadows while we hit them where they're weak. The new tactics worked. Human fleets began winning small battles. Not many, but enough to prove it was possible. The aliens were not invincible after all. On Earth, the resistance was growing stronger. Governor Peter Jackson coordinated attacks on alien ground forces. His people used everything as weapons. Kitchen knives, homemade explosives, modified cars turned into mobile bombs. The Kethran soldiers were elite troops. They had the best armor and weapons in the galaxy. But they were fighting on human ground, by human rules. Every building could hide enemies, Every street could be a trap. "We're not winning," Peter told his commanders, "but we're not losing either. And that's enough for now." Dr. Susan Miller made a breakthrough in her research. She had been studying captured alien technology for weeks. Finally, she found what she was looking for. "I've figured out their hyperspace drives," she announced. "They're faster than ours, but they leave a trail. We can track them." Admiral Lisa Campbell understood immediately. "If we can track them, we can predict where they'll go. We can set ambushes." "Exactly," Susan said. Their biggest advantage just became their biggest weakness. The tide was starting to turn. Humans were learning to fight back. They were adapting and improvising. They were doing what humans had always done when faced with impossible odds. They found a way. High Commander Czar Fick reviewed the casualty reports with growing concern. His forces had lost more ships in 3 months than in the previous 10. Years combined. The humans were not behaving like any species he had conquered before. "They should be broken by now," he muttered. "They should be begging for mercy." Instead, the humans were getting stronger. Their attacks were becoming more coordinated. Their weapons were becoming more effective. Worst of all, they were starting to win battles. On the mining station where it all began, Jake Morrison watched the latest battle reports. The numbers were still terrible. Humans were still outnumbered and outgunned. But something had changed. "We're not just surviving anymore," he told Amy Chun. "We're fighting back." Amy nodded. "My grandmother was right. Freedom is worth the price." The Kethran Empire had conquered 47 species. They had never faced serious resistance. They had never met a species that grew stronger under pressure. They were about to learn why humanity was different. They were about to discover that some species cannot be conquered, only destroyed. And humans had no intention of being destroyed. The war was just beginning. 6 months into the war, everything had changed. The Kethran Empire expected to rule over peaceful human slaves by now. Instead, they found themselves fighting the longest war in their history. Admiral Lisa Campbell stood in the command center of the human fleet. Around her, officers worked at dozens of screens. The room buzzed with activity. This was not the same broken force that had faced the aliens 6 months ago. "Status report," Lisa said. "Good news and bad news," replied General Paul Adams. "The bad news is we're still outnumbered 3-1. The good news is we've learned how to make those odds work for us." Lisa nodded. Paul was right. The humans had adapted to fighting a superior enemy. They used speed instead of strength. They used tricks instead of force. They fought like humans, not like aliens. Dr. Susan Miller had kept her promise. Her tracking system could follow Kethran ships through hyperspace. Now humans could predict where the aliens would attack next. "We have incoming ships near the Titan system," reported Lieutenant Danny Foster. 12 Kethran vessels, arriving in 4 hours. "Perfect," Lisa said. "Send the message to Commander Rachel Bennett. It's time to test our new tactics." Rachel commanded a small fleet of human ships. They were waiting in the asteroid field near Titan. The ships were hidden among the rocks, engines cold, weapons ready. When the Kethran fleet arrived, they found empty space. The human colony looked defenseless. The aliens moved in for an easy victory. They flew right into the trap. Human ships appeared from everywhere. They came out of asteroid shadows, from behind moons, from the dark side of planets. The Kethran formation was surrounded in seconds. "Fire everything," Rachel ordered. The human ships attacked from all directions. They used the new frequency weapons Dr. Helen Garcia had developed. The alien shields flickered and failed. Plasma beams cut through Kethran armor like paper dot. In 10 minutes, the battle was over. 8 alien ships were destroyed. The rest fled back to hyperspace. Not a single human ship was lost. The victory was broadcast across human space. People cheered in the streets. Children drew pictures of the battle. The impossible was becoming possible, but the real change was happening on the alien ships. High Commander Zarthik read the battle reports with growing alarm. His forces were losing more than ships. They were losing confidence. How did they hide so many vessels? He asked his officers. We don't know, replied War Leader Kekstar. Our sensors showed empty space. Then suddenly, enemies everywhere. It's impossible, Zarthik said. No species fights like this. No one uses such tactics. Perhaps, suggested Intelligence Leader Vexran, that is why they are winning. The words hit Zarthik like a physical blow. Winning. The humans were actually winning battles now. It should not be possible, but it was happening. On Earth, the resistance had grown into a proper army. Governor Peter Jackson coordinated attacks across the entire planet. Every day, Kethran patrols were ambushed. Every night, alien bases were bombed. The Kethran soldiers were getting tired. They had been fighting for months without rest. Their supply lines were constantly under attack. Their morale was breaking. Captain Steve Morgan led a raid on a Kethran supply depot. His team was made up of farmers, teachers, and shop owners. They were not professional soldiers, but they fought with the fury of people defending their homes. Remember, Steve told his people, we're not trying to hold ground. We hit them hard, then disappear. Make them afraid to leave their bases. The raid was perfect. The humans destroyed tons of alien supplies and equipment. They captured weapons and vehicles. Most importantly, they proved that ordinary people could hurt the mighty Kethran Empire. Dr. Kevin Walsh made another breakthrough. He had been studying alien psychology as well as their technology. What he found changed everything. The Kethrans are not just technologically advanced, he told Admiral Campbell. They're psychologically dependent on being superior. They've never faced real resistance. They don't know how to handle it. What does that mean for us? Lisa asked. It means they're more fragile than they look, Kevin said. They're used to winning easily. When they start losing, they panic. They make mistakes. Lisa understood. The aliens were like bullies who had never been punched back. Now that humans were fighting back, the bullies were scared. The next major battle proved Kevin's theory. A large Kethran fleet attacked the Mars colonies. It was the biggest alien force humans had faced yet. Commander Chris Henderson led the human defense. His ships were outnumbered 4-1, but they had advantages the aliens did not expect. All ships, execute Plan Delta, Chris ordered. The human fleet split into small groups. Each group attacked a different part of the alien formation. The Kethrans tried to maintain their rigid battle lines, but they were being hit from too many directions. The alien commander, Subleader Tarkith, watched his formation fall apart. His ships were designed to fight in organized lines. But the humans were fighting like a swarm of angry bees. Pull back to defensive positions, Tarkith ordered, but there were no defensive positions. The humans were everywhere. They appeared, fired, and vanished. They used the planet's gravity to slingshot around and attack from new angles. The Kethran fleet retreated in confusion. They had more ships and better weapons, but they could not hit an enemy that refused to fight fair. News of the Mars victory spread across the galaxy. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Kethran Empire had been forced to retreat from a major battle. Other species began to take notice. The Kethrans ruled over dozens of conquered worlds. The people on those worlds had given up hope long ago. But now they saw something impossible. The Empire could be beaten. Rebellions began on distant planets. Slave workers sabotaged alien factories. Conquered species remembered what freedom felt like. The Kethran Empire was fighting fires across the galaxy. This is getting out of hand, Zarthik told the Imperial Council. The humans are inspiring rebellion everywhere. We need to end this quickly. Then end it, replied Supreme Leader Vakthar. Use whatever force is necessary. Show the galaxy what happens to those who defy the Empire. Sarthik nodded. It was time to stop playing games. The humans wanted war. He would give them war like they had never seen. But the humans were not the same species that had received his ultimatum 6 months ago. They had been tested in battle and proven strong. They had learned to fight as one people with one goal, freedom. Colonel Amy Turner commanded the defenses of the Titan Research Station. The facility had been attacked 3 times. Each time, the humans had held. Each time, they had grown stronger. The aliens are massing for another attack, reported Major Linda Clark. This time it's different. They're bringing everything they have. Amy studied the tactical display. The Kethran fleet was enormous, more ships than she had ever seen in one place. They were coming to end the war with one decisive blow. Send word to all human forces, Amy said. Tell them we're going to show these aliens what happens when you threaten humanity. The message went out across human space. From Earth to the edge of the colonies, people prepared for the biggest battle of the war. Soldiers cleaned their weapons. Civilians said their prayers. Children drew pictures of victory. The Kethran Empire had conquered 47 species. They had never met serious resistance. They had never faced an enemy that grew stronger with each battle. They were about to learn that humans were different. They were about to discover that some species cannot be conquered, only destroyed. And humans had no intention of being destroyed. The tide had turned. The war was far from over, but something fundamental had changed. The humans were no longer just defending their homes. They were fighting back. They were winning, and they were just getting started. Grand Admiral Zeekmar looked at the wreckage floating in space around Earth. War Commander Vexthal's mighty fleet had been cut in half by a handful of primitive humans. It was the worst defeat in Zephyrian history. Impossible, Zeekmar said to himself. The plan was simple, but dangerous. The humans would pretend to surrender, allowing the aliens to board their ships. Once the aliens were inside, they would connect human computer systems to download information. That's when the virus would transfer to their network. It's risky, General Wright said. If they suspect anything, they'll just destroy us from a distance. Captain Ben Rodriguez, his ship barely holding together after the last battle, volunteered immediately. General, my ship is already damaged. Perfect for a fake surrender. Grand Admiral Zeekmar studied the human formation. The small fleet was clearly beaten. Many ships showed heavy damage, and they were making no aggressive moves. They're ready to give up, he told his officers, as they should be. Open communications. The Grand Admiral's image appeared on screens throughout the human fleet. He was even larger than War Commander Vexthal, with 6 arms and skin like black metal. His red eyes burned with ancient anger. Humans, he said, you have caused great damage to the Eternal Fleet. This cannot be forgiven. But if you surrender now, some of you will be allowed to live as slaves. General Wright appeared on the alien screens. He looked tired and defeated. Grand Admiral, we cannot win against your fleet. We ... We surrender. Zeekmar smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Wise, you will lower your shields and allow our forces to board your ships. Any resistance will result in immediate destruction. Understood, Wright said. We're powering down our weapons now. Across the human fleet, ships began shutting down their weapon systems. To the aliens, it looked like complete surrender. But inside each ship, crews were preparing for the most dangerous mission of their lives. Captain Mike Chun had survived the previous battle and was now commanding a new Viper squadron. Remember, he told his pilots, wait until they're all connected to our systems. Then we hit them with everything we've got. The alien boarding ships approached the human fleet. They were massive transports, each carrying 1,000 Zephyrian warriors. The aliens were confident this would be easy. Humans had finally learned their place. Lieutenant Kate Davis was on the bridge of the UES Defender 2 when the first aliens came aboard. The Zephyrian warriors were huge, each one 7 feet tall and covered in natural armor. They carried plasma weapons that could cut through steel. "Where is your command center?" The alien leader demanded. Kate led them to the bridge, where Captain Rodriguez was waiting. The aliens immediately began connecting their equipment to the human computers. "We will download all your military information," the alien said. "Your ship designs, your weapons, your battle plans, everything." Rodriguez nodded. "Of course. We have nothing to hide now." What the aliens didn't know was that Dr. Baker had hidden his virus in every computer system on every human ship. As soon as the aliens connected to download information, the virus would upload itself to their network. On the alien flagship, Grand Admiral Zekmar watched as his forces boarded the human ships. "Are you getting their data?" "Yes, Grand Admiral," his chief technician reported. "These humans have surprisingly detailed files. We're downloading everything." "Good. Soon we'll know all their weaknesses." Not that it matters now. But Dr. Baker was watching his computer screens on the moon. "General," he said excitedly, "the virus is working. It's spreading through their network faster than I expected." "What will it do?" "It's going to make their own systems work against them. Their weapons, their shields, their navigation, everything will start receiving conflicting orders." Back on the human ships, the aliens were getting suspicious. The data they were downloading seemed too complete, too easy to access. "Something is wrong," the alien leader on Rodriguez's ship said. "This feels like a trap." Rodriguez smiled. "You're right, it is." Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the alien fleet. On ship after ship, computer systems began malfunctioning. Weapons turned on their own vessels. Shield generators shut down randomly. Navigation systems sent ships into collision courses with each other. "What's happening?" Grand Admiral Zekmar shouted. "Report!" "Sir, our computer network is under attack," his technician reported. "Some kind of virus is spreading through every system." "Impossible. Our security is perfect." "Not against something that was designed specifically for our network architecture." "Sir, we're losing control of our own ships." The virus was working better than Dr. Baker had hoped. Within minutes, the mighty Eternal Fleet was in chaos. Ships were firing on each other, shields were failing, and some vessels were spinning out of control. Captain Sarah Kim saw her chance. "All Vipers, attack now. Hit them while they're confused." The small human fighters erupted from hiding places throughout the fleet. They swarmed the alien ships, attacking while their defenses were down. Mike Chun led his squadron straight at the alien flagship. "This is for everyone who died in the colonies," he said as he fired his weapons into the ship's main reactor. The alien warriors on the human ships suddenly found themselves cut off from their fleet. Their communication systems were down. Their transport ships were crashing into each other, and the humans were no longer acting like prisoners. Captain Rodriguez drew his sidearm and pointed it at the alien leader. "Surrender," he said. "Your fleet is finished." The alien looked around the bridge. Through the windows, he could see his mighty fleet destroying itself. Ships were exploding, colliding, and spinning helplessly through space. "This is not possible," the alien said. "We are the Eternal Fleet. We have conquered 1,000 worlds." "You've never fought humans before," Rodriguez replied. "We don't give up, and we don't fight fair." Grand Admiral Zekmar watched in horror as his fleet tore itself apart. Centuries of careful planning and construction were being destroyed in minutes. The virus had turned their greatest strength, their interconnected network, into their greatest weakness. Send a message to the Emperor, he ordered. Tell him ... the Eternal Fleet has been defeated. The message that reached Emperor Krek's volume on the Zephyrian homeworld was almost impossible to believe. The humans had destroyed the Empire's most powerful fleet, using nothing but computer code and determination. How is this possible? The Emperor asked. They're primitives. They shouldn't even have computer technology. His advisors had no answer. The humans had done something no other species had ever accomplished. They had defeated the Zephyrian Empire, not through superior technology, but through superior thinking. General Wright watched from the moon as the last alien ships either surrendered or fled into hyperspace. The impossible had happened. Humanity had won. Sir, Colonel Parker said, we're receiving surrender signals from over 300 alien ships. What do we do with them? Wright thought about this. The aliens had come to destroy humanity, but now they were beaten and helpless. Take them prisoner, he said, but treat them well. We're not like them. Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge of his damaged ship, looking out at the wreckage of the Eternal Fleet. General, he said over the radio, what happens now? Now we show the galaxy that there's a better way than conquest, Wright replied. We show them that different species can work together instead of destroying each other. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. Humanity had proven they could fight and win against impossible odds. Now they had to prove they could. Build something better than what they had. DESTROYED Dr. Baker was already working on translating the alien databases they had captured. General, these files contain information about hundreds of other species that the Empire has conquered. Most of them are still alive, still enslaved. Then we'll free them, Wright said. All of them. Years later, historians would mark this moment as the beginning of the Galactic Federation. The day when humanity took its first step toward becoming not just survivors, but leaders. The Zephyrian Empire had wanted war, and they had gotten it. But they had also gotten something they never expected, a lesson in what it meant to be truly civilized. The humans had won not because they were stronger or more advanced, but because they refused to accept that might made right. They had shown the galaxy that there was another way to live, another way to treat other species, another way to build a civilization. And in the end, that was the most human thing of all. Say creatures use kinetic weapons and chemical rockets. How did they destroy plasma-armed battleships? His 1,000-ship Eternal Fleet spread out in perfect formation. Each ship was the size of a small city, armed with weapons that could crack planets. The Grand Admiral had brought enough firepower to destroy 100 worlds. General Carl Wright watched from the Moon Command Center as the massive alien fleet took position. His small force of human ships looked like toys next to the enemy vessels. Sir? Colonel Steve Parker said quietly, we can't fight that many ships. It's impossible. Carl nodded. You're right. We can't fight them the way they expect us to fight. But humans have never been good at doing what's expected. Dr. Tom Baker had been working non-stop since the first battle ended. General, I've been studying the wreckage from the alien ships. I found something interesting. Tell me. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's ours. The war had lasted 1 full year. What started as humanity's desperate defense had become something else entirely. The humans were no longer running from the Ketharon Empire. They were hunting it. Captain Chris Henderson stood on the bridge of the TFS Defiance, the first human warship built with captured alien technology. The ship was a hybrid of human creativity and Ketharon engineering. It was faster than anything the Empire had ever seen. Status report, Chris said. All systems ready, replied Lieutenant Janet Brown. We're 30 minutes from the Veltar system. Veltar was the heart of Ketharon military power in this sector. It was defended by massive space stations and hundreds of warships. No enemy had ever attacked it successfully. That was about to change. "Send the signal to the fleet," Chris ordered. "Operation Payback begins now." Across the star system, human ships moved from their hiding places. They had been gathering for weeks, sneaking past alien patrols. Now they were ready to strike at the Empire's strongest point. The attack on Veltar was not just about military victory. It was about sending a message to the entire galaxy. The Kethran Empire was not invincible. They could be beaten on their own ground. Admiral Lisa Campbell watched the battle from the command ship. Around her, screens showed the assault from every angle. Human ships swung around the alien defenses like angry hornets. "First wave is breaking through," reported General Paul Adams. "The aliens are falling back to the inner defense ring." Lisa nodded. The plan was working. The humans were not trying to match the aliens ship for ship. Instead, they were using speed and surprise to overwhelm the enemy's coordination. But the real shock came when the ground assault began. Commander Ashley Brooks led the first human troops to land on a Kethran world. What they found changed everything. "Admiral, you need to see this," Ashley said over the radio. Her voice was full of horror and anger. The human soldiers had discovered massive prison camps. Thousands of alien beings were trapped behind electric fences. They were thin and weak, working in terrible conditions. Some of them had been prisoners for centuries. "These are the species the Empire conquered," Ashley reported. "They're using them as slave labor. The conditions are beyond description." Dr. Gary Phillips was part of the assault team. He was a scientist, not a soldier, but he had volunteered for the mission. What he found in the Kethran research facilities made him sick. "They're not just enslaving these species," he told the command team. "They're studying them, finding ways to break their spirits completely. This is systematic torture on a galactic scale." The discovery changed the nature of the war. This was not just about human freedom anymore. It was about breaking a cycle of oppression that had lasted for thousands of years. Major Linda Clark coordinated with the liberated prisoners. Many of them were too weak to fight, but they had information. They knew the Empire's secrets. "The Kethrans are not the first," explained Zalthek, a prisoner who had been captive for 300 years. "Before them, there were the Mortai. Before that, the Velkari. The cycle never ends. One empire falls, another rises." "Not this time," Linda said. "This time, we break the cycle." The freed prisoners began to organize. They had been slaves, but they remembered how to fight. They had been broken, but they were not destroyed. And now they had hope. Back on Earth, the resistance had evolved into something magnificent. Governor Peter Jackson coordinated not just with human forces, but with liberation movements across the galaxy. The war was spreading. "We're getting reports from 17 different systems," Peter told his staff. "The conquered species are rising up. The Empire is fighting on dozens of fronts." Captain Steve Morgan led a mixed force of humans and liberated aliens. They attacked Kethran supply lines and communication centers. Every success inspired more rebellions. "The Empire is cracking," Steve reported. "They can't be everywhere at once. They're losing control." High Commander Zarthik watched his empire crumble from his flagship. The humans had done more than defeat his forces. They had given his slaves hope. They had shown the galaxy that the Empire could be beaten. "Sir," reported war leader Kekstar, "we're receiving surrender offers from 12 different species. They want to join the human alliance." Zarthik felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Not fear of death, but fear of failure. The Empire had been his life, his purpose, his identity. Now it was falling apart. "How many systems have we lost?" he asked. 43, Kekstar replied quietly. The rebellions are spreading faster then. We can contain them. Zarthik looked at the tactical display. Red lights showed areas of rebellion. There were more red lights than blue ones now. The Empire was losing. Dr. Susan Miller made another crucial discovery. She had been studying the Empire's communication networks. What she found was both terrifying and hopeful. The Catherines built their entire civilization around control, she told Admiral Campbell. Every ship, every station, every planet is connected to a central command network. That sounds like a weakness, Lisa said. It is, Susan replied. If we can reach the central hub, we can shut down their entire military system. But it's located on their home world, the most heavily defended planet in the galaxy. Lisa understood. The final battle would have to be fought at the heart of the Empire itself. It would be the most dangerous mission in human history. The liberation of Veltar was just the beginning. Human forces pushed deeper into Kethran space, freeing more prisoners and inspiring more rebellions. The Empire's 1,000-year reign was ending, but the aliens were not giving up without a fight. Supreme Leader Vakthar made a terrible decision. If the Empire could not rule, it would destroy everything it could not control. Activate the Planet Killer Fleet, he ordered. If we cannot have obedience, we will have silence. The order sent shockwaves through the Kethran military. Many officers had families on the worlds that would be destroyed. Some began to question their loyalty to the Empire. Commander Rachel Bennett intercepted the alien communications. The message was clear. The Kethrans were planning to destroy every world they had lost. Billions of innocent people would die. We have to stop them, she told her crew. This is bigger than the war now. This is about the survival of entire civilizations. The news spread quickly through the human fleet. The aliens were planning genocide on a scale never seen before. The war had become a race against time. Jake Morrison, still commanding the defense platform above New Dallas, received the urgent message. The Planet Killer Fleet was heading for human space. They had hours, not days. All ships, prepare for final battle, he broadcast. This is for everyone who has ever dreamed of freedom. This is for every species that has ever been enslaved. Today, we end the Empire forever. The response was immediate. Human ships from across the galaxy began converging on the Kethron home system. They were joined by vessels from the liberated species. It was the largest fleet in galactic history. The final battle would be fought not just for humanity, but for the future of the galaxy itself. The Empire had ruled through fear and oppression for 1,000 years. Now it faced an enemy that refused to kneel. The slaves had become warriors. The conquered had become liberators. The cycle of oppression was about to be broken forever. Commander Zarthik looked at the approaching fleet with a mixture of admiration and despair. The humans had done something he thought impossible. They had united the galaxy against a common enemy. They're coming, he told his officers. All of them. Every species we ever conquered. Every world we ever ruled. They're all coming. The final battle was about to begin. And for the first time in his life, Zarthik was not sure his side would win.